Let's bring in Jessie Jane Duff, a retired gunnery sergeant with the U.S. Marine Corps. And Jessie, thanks for being here. Here we are again, talking about more American casualties in Afghanistan. Clearly the war there is not over.
Well, essentially, it sounds like it's even ramping up. The Taliban has control of over half of the country, along with a part of the Islamic State that has merged over there because they've lost their hold in Syria. So we're looking at something that seems to have gotten nowhere. We're talking about the longest American war. And let it be known that these 3 Marines were 3 of 7 casualties killed, Americans killed, military personnel, this year alone. 13 American servicemen were killed last year. This is serious. Where are the American lives being sacrificed for when the Taliban has only ramped up and gotten stronger?
And Jessie, we know President Trump has been pushing to withdraw troops from Afghanistan and declare the 17-year Afghan war over. But the issue is brokering some kind of agreement between the Taliban, right?
Oh, yes, they're now in peace talks. Peace talks. I don't know that the sentence can be complete with the Taliban and the word peace because they know no peace. Their way of life is to ensure that women don't have rights, that gays don't have rights, that they stone people, kill people. It's a brutal mindset that they will have upon their own people. But yet they're going to have peace talks with the United States. Keep in mind, the Taliban is why we're at war, because of Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was part of this effort, the Al-Qaeda effort, the Taliban effort. All of this has merged, and they are a force. But yet we're sitting here 17 years later with no resolution. I don't know that it's in our best interest to continue. We're over there with UN forces that are supposed to help the battered Afghanistan government, the battered Afghanistan people, the battered Afghanistan military. But at some point, obviously this plan is not working.
But Jessie, isn't one of the contingencies on the part of the Taliban that the U.S. withdraws troops, that U.S. and its allies kind of pull back the troops? I mean, do you trust that? Is that just a tactic on their part?
Well, there's 14,000 American forces over in Afghanistan right now. 14,000. Let's keep that in mind. So if we're going to talk about withdrawing with some contingencies in place that they will not place an attack upon the U.S. or its allies, okay, that sounds really wonderful. Well, why haven't we negotiated that before? I don't think that the Taliban can be trusted. Of course it cannot. But here's what I would suggest, that we withdraw. And if any force of theirs is made against our allies or ourselves, we have to go back and bomb the heck out of them. But this is something that is so hard because you're talking about civilian casualties, you're talking about children, women, innocent people that are struggling just to survive. This is a quandary, obviously, the American people have not been aware of. We've ignored largely this. Most Americans have no idea that we're still at war in Afghanistan. This is a difficult one, but I can appreciate that President Trump has said enough is enough. Too many American lives have spilled their blood in their soil.
And Jessie, as you know, the U.S. envoy in Afghanistan has said he hopes to secure a peace deal before the next Afghan presidential election, which is in July. Do you think that's realistic?
I think anything's possible, but you have to have a determined Afghanistan government to take on this force. They have to have a determined Afghanistan government that is willing to ensure that the Taliban does not take hold within their own government. And unfortunately, we don't see that. I would say, though, that if they can give the assurances to the American government that they will not allow the Taliban to take over and have an impact upon a threat to our national security or our allies' security, then we cannot continue to stay there and die. So this is a very difficult situation. We got involved 17 years ago, and I would ask now, is it in America's best interest to stay, or is it in America's best interest to leave?
Jessie Jane Duff, important questions for sure. Thanks for being here on this special coverage edition of I-24.